everybody, this is Alchemist 2 and I'm back again with another book review. I decided to be quiet just because Dad's in the other room sleeping and I didn't really want to wake him, but this was actually recommended to me by my friend Sarah, who is a good friend of mine. Actually, I'm hoping I could see more of her in the future because I don't really see her so much as I would like because through an unfortunate set of circumstances she had gotten fired, and it was no fault of her own. It was just bad weather at the time, so I'm hoping she's able to get her job back. Fingers crossed. Anyway, this book is by Laurie House Anderson and it's called Speak. And this book was written, according to the inside leaflet, it was written in 1999, I do believe, and it's been reprinted. This is platinum version. There are some there's bonus there are bonus questions in the back with the authoress, and it's actually quite inspirational, and it really took me aback because I had no idea that teenage girls were suffering so much in this world it just seems so desensitized to sexuality, especially when it comes to what is considered sexual activity versus abstinence. And there are a lot of people that say, oh, abstinence is the only way. Well, there are also such things as condoms. And personally, I'm I'm a virgin, so it's not like I know that much about the topic, but I myself, if I had any kids, if they were sexually active, I would tell them everything they would have to know, educate them on the basics, and then tell them, if you're going to have sex, then be careful, use protection. I'm not going to harp on you and disown you just because you wanted to have sex with somebody that you loved. Things happen, hormones rage, and sometimes you just can't help yourself. And in this case, it's a little bit different than that. There's a young girl in this book who's the authoress, and she doesn't really do an awful lot of talking, and the book itself is an ironic kind of paradoxical title. Spoiler alert, if you haven't read it, then I'm warning you now. It's a huge spoiler alert, but she unfortunately gets raped at a party because there's a date rape drug in one of the beers that she is offered. She doesn't remember anything that occurred for the longest time. She keeps all of that bottled up inside, and she doesn't reveal it to anybody until the very last page, where she finally opens up to her art teacher. And this book really shocked me because I really didn't know anything about this particular plague that had been happening to young girls, and it just seems that it's happening younger and younger just because our media is so insidious and sinister in the way that it portrays sex. And I myself see sex as a sacred thing. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I'm not a prude. The thing is, I'm waiting for the right person. I have been since forever, and I started praying since I was 21 for the right person to come and find me. And the answer to that prayer is still wait, so I accept that. I have the Serenity prayer on my wall, and it helps me get through it. I feel lonely, which happens quite a bit. This book really opened up a lot of interesting facts to me that I was not aware of. It's very interesting, and it's actually very sad. There are parts of it that made you feel sorry for Melinda. I think that's the name of the main character, Melinda. And the fact that her best friend basically drifts away from her. I thought, yeah, I can relate to that, because I had a friend. I don't know if you've witnessed my reviews before, if I've ever gone into this story, but if I have, then you don't really have to listen to it. But when I was in middle school, actually in grade school, I had a best friend, and we were like sisters. She was the closest thing that I had to a sister other than my mother. But she started hanging out with this PK, which is a preacher's kid, who was into boys and everything, and I'm a late bloomer, so I didn't really have any desire for that. I was really into Power Rangers at the time, so I didn't care about the boys, and my favorite ranger was the Red Ranger, and I had a crush on Skull. I still have a crush on Skull, even though he's married. I've spoken to him before, and anyway, that's another story I can get into later if you're interested. Talk about my conversations with Wally, who voices the Tallest Red, and I've talked to Polly Schreier, and I've talked to Jason Narvi, who plays Skull, and Felix Ryan. But anyway, back to my original. I'm kind of getting off topic. I hate it when I do that. Anywho, I had my best friend in middle school, and she started drifting away from me because she was getting into more adult things and talking about boys, and unfortunately this other girl that she was seeing was more popular than I, and I was never popular, and she basically betrayed me, and she said, I don't want to be your friend anymore, you're just not cool enough. And I thought, I wanted to commit seppuku at that time. I wanted to die. I hated it. I literally hated myself. I hated my life. Melinda's life is so much suckier than anything I could have gone through. I mean, it was just absolutely horrible. It's just a nightmare. And she has a friend who turns out not to be her friend, and then comes to her later about the rape, and then figures out that it's her boyfriend that she's currently dating. The girl's name's Heather. Appropriate name. For many reasons that I can go through. I'm not going to go through now. But it's just such a revealing book, and how dangerous and lascivious this new world is, and just how the media tends to twist sex for its own marketing purpose. And I don't really agree with this. I think that, yes, sex is good. Sex is a wonderful thing. It increases our population. And if it were not enjoyable, we would not even have a population. It has to exist in order for our population to thrive. But the media makes it its own weapon, and they make it sinister, and then you've got this thing called pornography, and pornography can be really, really, really bad, but that's a whole nother subject. But this book is about rape, and the whole middle school experience, and just how awkward it is and uncomfortable, and how she's a loner and she becomes very emo. Well, why shouldn't she? Her best friend isn't even talking to her, and she can't even find a place to fit in. Welcome to my world. I can totally understand that. I just thought, Melinda, I know how you feel, because I'm going to tell a story on myself. Excuse me if I bore you, but when I was in middle school, I was the class clown. Well, I wanted to be the class clown. I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted people to be my friend. I just wanted people to laugh. And the thing is, there were people that they were laughing, and then I realized they're laughing at me, not with me, at me, and it was even worse than losing my friend at that time. And I was completely devastated. I thought, I am so done with this life. And there were many times where when I was in middle school that I didn't know if I would survive. But I thought, how on earth am I going to get through this? And Melinda's character, she goes through even a worse time, and it leaves it up in the air. But I think what I would like to conclude is, she, through her ability to actually express herself through art to her art teacher, was able to break the barriers of silence, and just finally open up about her experience and get the help that she needed. And a lot of girls, they should know, if they are touched in such a way that is not appropriate, they should tell somebody. It's not something that should be just pushed aside and said, no, don't do this. No. First of all, I can't even talk. Sex education should be taught at home. My mother was a registered nurse. If I had a question, I could go to her and she would answer it. I feel so much more privileged in the area of knowledge I have, even though it's just anatomy and physiology and no real world experience. I have zero world experience. Absolutely none. So, that tells you about my love life, or lack thereof. But, things could be worse, and I know they are not. But I absolutely love this book. It's really quite good, and I highly recommend it to anybody who's interested in the subject itself. And if they know anybody who has, God forbid, gone through something so awful as that, just to know that they aren't alone, and they can talk to somebody about it and get help. And if they're pregnant, to get help with that. If they're scared, or whatever course of action they wish to take, it's their body, and it's up to them. And I just really don't know what else to say about this book other than it's extremely powerful. And I think that it empowers young women, and I'm glad that there's such books out there like this and other young adult books. And I absolutely loved it, and if you have the chance to pick it up and read it, do so, because it's a very short read, and a lot of kids are reading it in school, and as they should. And I think that this is a good way to get children or young adults interested in reading, and getting them to talk about a topic that usually is not breached at this age, but because of our society and our culture and our media, unfortunately is going to be breached much more. I think that youngsters should be educated, and they should know that there are certain things that they can always come to their parents to. They can trust their parents. They should be able to trust their parents. I can trust my parents. I still have conversations with my dad that make me very uncomfortable, but at least I have conversations with my dad about it, because I can't talk to anybody else about it. So it's just something I feel very passionately about, and I highly recommend the book, and I think every youngster should read this at some point in time, because it's very, very poignant and very inspiration. In a strange way, it's inspirational, and it just gives so much information to a otherwise unknown topic that would normally never get breached.